Good morning from Beverly Hills. I'm Dr. Smaili. I usually say I make people smile about their bodies. Today, I want to make people cry about the fact of what's happening with COVID-19 or coronavirus and the awareness that it needs urgently. As a medical professional, as a doctor, and as a human being, what I'm seeing around in Los Angeles is unacceptable and falls below the standards of what should be done. We should have learned from the people in China, in Taiwan, and all the experiences that has happened there in order to prevent this coronavirus becoming a major pandemic. A couple of days I went to the Grove, which is a mall around here, and I noticed that it was full of people and nobody was wearing a mask. Nobody even cared what was happening in the rest of the world. And it is extremely upsetting because we have to really take this very seriously. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to start with this video. This is going to talk about the cases, as you see, from January 23rd and on. So this is outside of China, and we have to learn from this in order to avoid it before it becoming out of hand. We have to learn that the influenza of 1918 killed more than 50 million people, which is more than World War I and World War II combined. So now we are advanced. There is information exchange, social media, and all of that in order to be aware to prevent this. Do not think this is happening somewhere else. This is happening everywhere in the world. So here, January 23rd, when it started outside of China, and you will see how the countries start to having, like now Thailand has 8 cases. I want you to watch Thailand and Taiwan. They were number 1 first. Then Japan passes them. As you can tell here, South Korea is sneaking up. It wasn't in Europe yet. The only country that had it was Germany. Then all of a sudden you will notice here that South Korea is inching up. So what is happening to Thailand? Thailand is dropping down. Taiwan's dropping down. And we have to learn as to why. Now South Korea explodes. And you see that Japan and Italy also go up there. And all the way at the bottom is Taiwan. It is even falling off the scale. And you'll see here that Italy will bypass. So what does this mean? Something went right in Thailand and Taiwan for the cases not to explode. Also knowing that they are close by to China, and 1.2 million people passed in and out of China during the last 3 months. So we know this started back in December, but it has exploded. So what did Taiwan and Thailand do that is right? And that's what we have to learn. They actually had a very early response. Their government responded, people also helped. So it's every one of us that have to help. And as you know, that our President Trump canceled all flights to Europe. I think it's a little too late, but it's definitely a good start. Also there's a cancellation of schools and gatherings, and we really have to take this seriously. Why? Coming up next. So here's an example of countries that acted early and acted fast. They reduced the number of deaths at least 10 times. So imagine that. And countries that are overwhelmed, countries that are not advanced, will have a death rate of 5%, which is 3 times the average in South Korea and China. So even South Korea have a high infection rate. Their death rate is very low. That's because they have all the equipment, all the masks. And just for your information, in the United States, we only have 1%. So only 1% of people will have masks. God forbid that all of us need it. So how is this different than influenza? Influenza, when you have it, you have symptoms right away. So you know right away you have it. You will take precautions. You'll do what it needs to be done in order to take care of it before you pass it on. The problem with this, it takes 6 days before you have symptoms. Meanwhile, you are actually infecting other people. And this is a prime example in San Francisco. They thought they had it under control. They identified 30 people and they quarantined them and all the people that they have in contact. But it turns out they missed one person. And that one person, they've determined now has infected 1,000 people. So it is very important if you do have the symptoms. Now, what are the symptoms? You'll have a dry cough. Dry cough means you're not putting out any sputum. Nothing's coming out. And usually that starts 3 to 4 days after being infected. You have fever 6 to 14 days after. Once you have fever and problems breathing, then that's too late. You should be in the hospital, in the emergency room. But don't just go to the emergency room. Call your doctor and have them set up a special entrance where you go to the emergency room. Now the question is, what can we do to minimize it? To minimize it, of course, you have to follow the recommendations of the World Health Organization and also common sense, hygiene. Keep your mouth hydrated.